Alright everyone, welcome to my video summary slash ramblings about BlazBlue Central Fiction. I thought to myself, maybe I should do the entire plot of BlazBlue Central Fiction. And then I realized how long the game actually is, and I decided to split this video in half. This video is mostly going to be about the stuff right before 9 starts talking about the Prime Field War, so literally everything before that. And then after I'm done with this, I can actually talk about everything that happens afterwards, including the final battle and everything after that, because, remembering all this is, BlazBlue Central Fiction is a long-ass game. Like, it is longer than I remember. Like, just remembering stuff up to this point is ridiculous, and hopefully I get it all right. So, and I'm just going to be straight up with you guys right now. The clips I use in this video will not line up with what I'm talking about. I've tried to do that, and there's some clips that just have dead air in it, like just no pictures for me to reference off of, and I don't feel like screenshotting them because I don't have the necessary equipment to do so, but whatever. Let's move on to the analysis so I can get this over with. The game begins with Izanami opening the master unit. Noise is in fact empty and begins to laugh about the situation she's currently in. Back at the NOL headquarters, Hibiki brings Kokonoe, Taker, and Makoto to Kagura. Hibiki was going to bring Jin and Noel, but both were injured due to the battle with Ragna and Chronophantasma, with Jin taking most of the severe damage to the point that he can't even move anymore. At this point, they explain the entire BlazBlue plot regarding Ragna up to this point in a recap form that takes approximately 30 minutes. After a recap, the group goes over recent events, on how the embryo that Izanami had summoned in the last game had mass infinitely close to zero, and that there was a perpetual phenomenon intervention occurring within it. And as it was Giga Kagutsuchi originally, it has a will of its own and is in fact alive. Sulka is seen tending to Jin's wounds and Tsubaki visits him, chatting a bit with Sulka on the way. Jin and Tsubaki have a conversation about his past, on how he, Ragna, and Saya lived in a dark place before they arrived to the church, and that Jin obtained a Yukiyansa there, which corrupted him to destroy evil, aiming his sights towards Ragna. Jin can't remember what happened in his fight against Ragna and Chronophantasma, and that is the time that Noel saw the Gate of the Azure, and Jin couldn't see anything due to the power of order messing with his memories. Jin also calls Noel simply Lieutenant rather than Trash during this moment, and when she leaves, Trinity pops up with her being able to move through the Noxus. Rachel pops in to say that Noel's unable to use her God Slayer powers anymore, with her saying that Ragna turning Berserk had caused it. Noel and Rachel are then teleported to the Master Unit by Izanami, and that she claims to want a complete death by using the embryo she had created back in Chronophantasma. Izanami has also claimed that Noel had made Ragna disappear within the embryo, though Izanami wasn't too sure about that. Once Noel had observed the embryo, it was discovered that Ragna was indeed within the embryo, supporting Izanami's theory, and that the main reason why Izanami had summoned him there was for Noel to confirm Ragna's whereabouts. Izanami then declares the Day of Reckoning. Chapter 2 begins with Ragna awakening in a forest with his memories gone. Again. He then meets Jubei, who goes on about his infamy as a criminal of the world, though Ragna isn't aware of who Jubei even is at this point, or even his own identity. In typical Jubei fashion, he simply tells Ragna that he can't explain anything, and for him to head to Kagutsuchi to figure out something there, annoying Ragna. Ragna then arrived in Orient Town, getting attacked by Tao, who was out for his bounty. Ragna learns that he is the Grim Reaper, who has a massive bounty on his head. Ragna again goes off to feed Tao, and they have a conversation about who the Grim Reaper is, leaving Ragna with more questions than answers as they eat. The two then bail once Ragna figures out that he doesn't have a single penny to his missing name. Carl then arrives and introduces himself as Ragna as a vigilante, a bounty hunter that turns in criminals to the NOL for money. Carl also says that he's looking for the Grim Reaper, that being Ragna. Carl tells Ragna that he doesn't care about the money and only wants the Azure Grimoire from Ragna, though the man claims that he isn't carrying around any kind of book. The two then fight within Ronin Guy, ending with Ragna's victory, and Carl retreats from the confrontation. Ragna was heavily injured by Nirvana's claws, and Bang swoops in to help him at the last minute, taking the Grim Reaper to Lychee's clinic. Meanwhile, in Kokonoe's lab, Lambda notices Seether disturbance in the area despite Seether being gone from the world. Kokonoe knows that it's possibly the Azure Grimoire and sends Tager off to handle it. Oddly enough, she also has Bullock to go with Tager despite her not being an active member of Sector 7 before the embryo events. A flashback occurs where it shows Jubei being tended to by Sulka during her time as a sister. Jubei tells her that he had found 3 children being used as experiments in a lab and entrusts them to Sulka. Ragna gets defensive and protects the sleeping Jin and Saya, though Celica promised him that they're in a safer place now. Celica comments on Ragna's younger form and reminisces a bit on the Ragna she knew back in her day. Ragna then reawakens in Lychee's clinic. Lychee already knew of his status as the Grim Reaper, though she claims not to care and wants to know if he had anywhere to hide out. Also explaining to Ragna how the NOL is and what the Grim Reaper does to oppose them. Bang also says that he can tell that there are no lies in Ragna's words when the latter says that he lacks his memories and doesn't know who he is. Lychee says to Ragna that a hero has come to find the Grim Reaper, referring to Kagura. Not wanting to cause trouble for Lychee, Ragna prepares to leave until Tao pops out of nowhere and offers Ragna a hideout spot in Kaka Village, with him agreeing to the idea. Kagura, Tsubaki, Noel, Hibiki, and Makoto eventually arrive in Kagutsuchi to capture the Grim Reaper. Kagura has Tsubaki and Hibiki look for Jin, while Noel and Makoto leave as well. While in Kaka Village, Ragna ponders about the hero of Ikaruga. Lychee explains that the Ikaruga Civil War happened years ago and that a man, actually a woman, named Tenjo ruled a region called Ikaruga and started rebelling against the NOL. The hero of Ikaruga, this time being Kagura Mutsuki, brought the war to an end before it could spread further. Ragna is confused and wonders why Kagura of all people is the hero of Ikaruga, and also said it doesn't feel right. His mind flashes to images of Ikaruga and his Chronophantasma escapades there. While playing with the Kaka kids, Ragna has another flashback as a child. Ragna, Jin, and Saya and Celica were going off to pick raspberries, though Celica got them lost in the forest. Understandably annoyed, Ragna leads the charge, though they smell the raspberries and begin picking them. Celica has Ragna taste some, and he says that they're good. Jin also arrives at Kagutsuchi with Trinity assisting him, Jin using the power of order to maintain her consciousness. Jin feels something off as just recently they were only at Yabiko. A while ago, Trinity wants Jin to do a request for her, to contact Luna and Senna so she can bring them to Jubei to defeat Terumi, and they need to do it quick, as Luna and Senna are unstable and are fading away. With Platinum and Jubei, they can attack Terumi's soul directly as he is separated from Hazama, and is observing himself as a last-ditch effort to maintain his existence as he avoided being killed by Hakumen's attack back in Chronophantasma. Trinity decides to smelt a new body for Jin, though his abilities will be severely limited, though he could at least walk around and fight for a bit, but he has a limit on it. Meanwhile, Bullet, now believing that she's a member of Sector 7, has a scuffle with Noel. Tiger then shows up to give Bullet time to escape, but Hazama crashes the party, though Noel doesn't remember him. Hazama then tells her to head to Kaka Village to find Ragna. Terumi is revealed to be working with Hazama once again, with him being pissed off about having to quote-unquote start over from the beginning. While at the Kaka Village, Bang alarms Lychee, Ragna, and the Elder that a female NOL soldier, that being Noel, is sneaking around, possibly looking for Ragna. Lychee offers to stall Noel while Ragna sneaks through the sewer to escape undetected. Bang reveals that Ragna had escaped but was unaware that Noel was around, spilling the beans that Ragna was in the village. Ragna heads deeper into the sewer and runs into Arakune, his Azure reacting. Ragna then hears Noel screaming, rushing over to see Arakune attacking her. Ragna jumps in to save Noel from certain doom, but Noel stupidly jumps in the fight only to get one-shotted by Arakune, leaving Ragna to fight him alone. Lychee arrives to protect Arakune from being killed by Ragna, telling him that Arakune wants the Azure from him. Ragna asks about what the Azure Grimoire even is. Lychee explains that the Azure Grimoire, also known as the BlazBlue, is the only grimoire in the world that can directly access the Azure, and is both the strongest and the worst grimoire. While Ragna asks about the Azure itself, she simply gives him a vague, the power of the gods, but doesn't elaborate further as she doesn't know the details. Ragna notices the tattoo on Noel's chest and sees the NO12 on it, simply saying Murakumo, and getting memories of his encounters with New 13. Ragna then runs off, leaving Noel with Lychee. Ragna then rushes further into Kagutsuchi, running into Tiger, who wants to take him into custody, which leads to the two fighting. NOL soldiers eventually surround the two, with Kagura showing up, as it was shown that Tiger was simply buying time. Ragna goes to attacking the soldier, but Kagura defeats him before he's able to do anything, and says that being the Grim Reaper is not that big a deal. Ragna has another flashback of him as a child during a time he was sick with a fever, and Jin and Saya worrying over him. Celica proposes the idea of them eating with Ragna, as Jin and Saya didn't want to leave his side. Celica tells Ragna not to push himself so hard and to cherish his own well-being as well. Ragna once again reawakens, this time finding himself in a jail cell and bound with an Ars Magus seal. Kagura comes in just to mock Ragna and read off Ragna's charges, attacking two library branches, destroying their cauldrons, the annihilation of a division of Akitsu, Over 2,000 casualties, 100 buildings demolished, murder, manslaughter, assault, abduction, trespassing, property damage, interfering with public officers, robbery, fraud, extortion, arson, and treason, though Ragnar didn't know any of it. Kagura simply tells the man that he's going to be executed with no chance of changing that, and the only reason he's even alive now is that Ragnar had saved Noelle from Arcune earlier. After Kagura leaves, he wonders as if anything doesn't seem right with the situation. While in jail, Ragnar wonders if he's really going to die. He looks over to see Rachel also in a cell and also trapped within an Ars Magus seal. Kokonoe meets up with Kagura, wanting to meet Ragnar. Hazama also meets up with Makoto, Noelle, and Tsubaki and asks the trio to lead him to Kagura. Meanwhile, Kokonoe explains to Kagura that Celica and Hakumen shouldn't even be in this time period, and her wondering how they even arrived, as Celica had died years ago and Hakumen being salvaged from the boundary without her knowledge, forgetting that Kokonoe herself was the main person behind those events that brought them to the future. While at Ronin Guy, Jin meets with Jubei, though Jin says it isn't time to meet up like this as he needs to find Platinum first. Jubei asks if Jin is even the real Jin at this point, and Jin says that even Jubei's memories have been distorted by the embryo. Jin tells Jubei that he remembers him clearly, as he was the reason that Jin had obtained the Power Order in the first place. Naoto Kurogane eventually arrives to the BlazBlue world, saying that he's been flung back and forth to other worlds. He meets up with Celica, who is also lost. Naoto explains to her that he's looking for a long blonde-haired girl with a look of a bad attitude, and ribbons that look like rabbit ears. Believing that this is Rachel, Celica decides to help Naoto out, with the poor boy unknowingly agreeing to help find the wrong person. Noelle and Hazama reaches Ragnar's cells, with Hazama asking Ragnar if he had lost his memories. Hazama then uses Ouroboros on Ragnar, asking how he exactly obtained the Azure Grimoire and what it is. Ragnar starts remembering that the church burned down and collapsed when he was younger, and that Jin had the Yuki Anasa. Hazama further probes Ragnar and tells him to remember Yuuki Terumi, Saya, Jin, and Sister, as they report memories of his. Alarms soon go off, warning members of the Inner World that intruders have launched an attack. Noelle wonders how this is even possible if Ragnar is with them already. Rachel makes a comment on how God will see the same dream again. The light goes off, and it shows that Ragnar was released from his restraints, escaping the cell and breaking Rachel out as well. Ragnar then rushes off to protect Noelle, though he really isn't aware of why he feels that way. Tsubaki was then told the intruder was none other than Hakumen himself, though she doesn't believe that it was Hakumen because he had vanished after the Dark War and that the six heroes would have no reason to attack a cauldron. Hakumen continues to storm through the Inner Well branch while Noelle falls through a crack in the floor. Ragnar himself reaches the bottom of the branch and encounters the well, but is stopped by Hakumen. Ragnar remembers meeting Hakumen before and even hears Hakumen in his mind, though Hakumen doesn't listen to him and goes off in the offensive, telling him that Izanami calls for him. This is actually not exactly what he said. It's more of like the Izanami as a Japanese goddess of the underworld, not the Hades Izanami we know of, so just throw that out there. Anyway, Ragnar unlocks the Azure and the two fight. Noelle then awakens during their fight and knows that the cauldron is opening up. Nu then swoops down and activates, with Noelle somewhat recognizing her and forcing her to go in the robo-boat as well, and with that the two begin their battle. Noelle wins her battle, remembering her friends and family and how she wanted to stay normal, that she's herself and not Nu. Ragnar saves Noelle in the nick of time, with Nu happily telling Ragnar if this was their fourth go-around, with Ragnar not understanding what's going on, but recognizing that he had the same conversation before. Nu goes on about her wanting to merge together and crush the world spiel, while Ragnar is trying to remember if he was going to kill her or not. He didn't realize that he hasn't come to destroy Nu, but rather save her, but that pisses Nu off, as she calls him and everyone else boring, and that he doesn't understand anything. Nu says that humans are all imperfect, that humans destroy, that they steal, that they kill others, denying all others to just to satisfy themselves, and that she understands that as she is nothing but a weapon. Nu also says that Ragnar is the same as her, and that's why he denies her, because he is just a weapon. Ragnar tells her that he gets what she's going for, but that isn't the true nature of people. Ragnar says that it's true that humans are all imperfect, and that everyone has some sort of flaw, and that they keep others around to make up for it. To want someone to understand them, to hope, to beg, to ask for it to be fixed. But not everything fits perfectly to fix those flaws, and that's why conflict happens. Ragnar further goes to say that neither hatred or denial of others, it's a desire that has a little misunderstanding involved, and that goes for Nu, which is why he's going to deny her because she needs help. Freaking Nu out, the two have their age-old showdown once again. Ragnar defeats Nu and offers his hand out to her, with Nu confused why he's helping her. Ragnar says that he really doesn't know, but he doesn't want her to leave her alone like this. Nu doesn't understand and Ragnar claims that he doesn't know either, but they need to get out of here just for now. Nu didn't ask why he would save her voice overlapping with Nine's. Space begins to warp and Nine's voice chimes in, calling Ragnar a fool for trying to save Nu, as it is impossible. Ragnar is then teleported to Purgatorium, where he encounters Nine, with Nine the Phantom, now is her name, who says she pities him and calls him an idiot. Nine tells that Ragnar isn't qualified, yet he keeps struggling. Nine wants to show Ragnar how powerless and worthless his very existence is, and will burn it all down to nothing with the two fighting afterwards. Outmatched and outclassed, Ragnar is beaten by Nine, even with his use of the Azure Grimoire. Nine wonders if Ragnar really is the man of Azure, and that the trigger was allowed that Ragnar to eventually remember everything he had lost. Nine tells Ragnar that he can't beat Izanami and that he can't do anything no matter how hard he struggles. Nine tells Ragnar that if Ragnar wants to turn his dream into reality, he must beat Izanami, and that is the only way for him to accomplish it. Ragnar angrily tells her that he isn't going to kill anyone to reach that goal, but Nine counters that by saying that in order to save them, he must defeat them, as it is his dream and will in his desired form. A large-scale phenomenon intervention occurs, screwing with Ragnar. Nine repeats that Ragnar must defeat Hades Izanami to fulfill his dream, and he has to do that before Doomsday is completed. Nine mockingly tells Ragnar from the bottom of her heart that she hopes that he can kill Izanami with his own hands, and with that, ends the prologue. Izanami and Relius are shown having a chat about the upcoming Doomsday, with Relius telling her that her vessel is reaching its limit, and that Relius had created it. Her vessel had been treated harshly due to Izanami using an intervention with Takamagahara, summoning Takemikazuchi, and using it to activate the embryo, and regardless of how superior that Saya body is, it had a limit. Bloodedge goes on to say that granting her another vessel was pointless, as it would disintegrate in a matter of 2 days with Izanami in it, even commenting that the current vessel is something of a miracle to still be existing. Relius starts to talk about number 5, the 5th prime field device, which he called an irregularity among irregularities. He would analyze it more, but Jubei had destroyed it and it was impossible to recreate an exact copy. The mad scientist said that the female side needed a human for the base and the male side needed an artificial body made from the Black Beast, technically making Ragnar, Jin, and Saya children of the prime field number 5 and Black Beast. Relius adds that number 5 was created by someone else using his own research and that it was Suichiro Ayasuki, the father of Celica and Nine. Relius delves further into the creation of number 5, stating over hundreds of years ago that there was a girl who took the same form of Izanami's vessel and that she could amplify Caesar indefinitely, devouring souls of humans and taking the power of her own, even calling her a monster. The girl was then defeated, or rather consumed, by her own brother, and realized others that the sight was truly beautiful. Number 5 was a duplicate of the monster, and that she was so perfect that she could be almost classified as the real thing. After their conversation, Izanami and Relius head their separate ways to prepare for Doomsday. All over the place, everyone's being teleported from Kagutsuchi to Ikaraga. Nine has ceased the massive phenomenon intervention and announced everyone that the world has opened and that those who are qualified needed to kill Izanami with their own hands to obtain the Azure, fulfilling their dreams and desires. Celica is worried that her sister and goes out to find her, while Naoto is annoyed, but he doesn't know where he's going, but still needs to find an Azure anyway. Another flashback occurs with Ragnar as a child hanging out with Saya in the forest. Saya runs off on her own and gets attacked by a wild dog monster, but a black explosion erupts from Saya, destroying some of the forest. It was revealed that Saya had amplified a small amount of Seether around her to cause that massive explosion, which shocked Celica. Ragnar awakens in Ikaraga, in front of the Watatsubi castle, with all his memories slowly returning back to him. Unfortunately, he isn't able to move, though he is lucky to meet Bang once again. Bang goes off to get Ragnar medical treatment. Somewhere in a cabin, Noelle wakes up. Mai Natsume walks into the room where Noelle was in and tells her that she had rescued her, and the two go over why they are in Ikaraga. Bang and Ragnar sit by the fire talking about the Ikaraga Civil War. Bang explains that he was a member of the Imperator's Imperial Guard and that he was a former member of the library. He had opposed the war from the start and only volunteered for the Ikaraga Ninja Corps to save Homura Amano Hokasaka, who had been taken hostage by the Ikaraga Federation. It was said the events behind the death of Tenjo and the explosion of Ibukido remain mysteries, and Kagura, who had made peace treaty with Library, which is why they call him the hero of Ikaraga. Ragnar then asked to take a look at the Retenjo, knowing that it is indeed the real Retenjo, even though the real one was forced back into Kushinada's linchpin back in Chronophantasma. Platinum arrives in Ikaraga and are attacked by Nu, who is collecting the Nox Nectores. The two eventually forget their own names and even their own bodies start to become transparent, showing that they're progressing closer and closer to fading away. Down near the destroyed cauldron of Akisu Snowtown, Ragnar remembers being told as a teenager that Saya was one of the prime fields and that they were being used by Terumi for his quote-unquote goal. He also encounters Relius, who tests him to see if he's the real Man of Azure and could possibly gain the true BlazBlue. Relius tells Ragnar to defeat Izanami and then he leaves. Naoto and Celica arrive to Kagutsuchi, and Celica talks about the story of the 6 heroes, while Naoto talks to Celica about trying to find the Azure, which could lead him to Raquel. After bumping into a random person, Naoto immediately notices that Celica is missing once again. Noticing someone with blonde hair walking by, Naoto chases after them, only to realize that it was only Rachel. Rachel recognizes Naoto as Ragnar, which confuses her. Naoto doesn't understand what's happening, but Rachel decides to kill him as his very existence is interfering with Ragnar's, and that he's very out of place in this world. Either he returns back to his own world or gets killed by Rachel. Naoto unleashes Bloodedge, which shocks Rachel that the white hair and eye color heavily resembles Ragnar's. Rachel yells at him, wondering why he is able to use quote-unquote that drive. After Naoto beats her, Rachel says that his existence is the same as Ragnar's, and two of the same existences cannot exist in a world at the same time. Valkenheim arrives to the scene, and Naoto is surprised to know that Valkenheim is in this world despite seeing him long ago in his own world. Before Valkenheim can fight him for attacking Rachel, he is teleported away. Naoto finds himself in front of the Azure Gate within a large white space and is immediately attacked by S, though he thought that she was Kiro Hikagami. S states that she cannot let Naoto go any further and that she protects this gate. Naoto unleashes Bloodedge once again and the two have a battle. S proves to be way too strong for Naoto, but luckily he is teleported out of harm's way before S can kill him, only getting a simple response of Raquel being by his side the entire time. Meanwhile, Carl and Celica meet, though Carl is offended that Celica called Nirvana his sister, and angrily tells her that Nirvana is just a Nox, showing that Carl is slowly going off the deep end. Carl orders Nirvana to kill Celica, but she refuses. Carl then runs away, confused and angry about the memories flooding in his mind. At the main NOL branch, Ragnar screams at Kokonoe that she cannot let Ragnar and Izanami meet. Rachel further elaborates on this by saying that Izanami was the main reason that Ragnar went berserk at the end of Chronophantasma, and that if it wasn't for Noel, his very will would have been lost forever, and that the notion of saving Izanami is impossible. Ragnar asked about the embryo, and Rachel comments on the fact that the outside world, people, and various other components were absorbed within the embryo. Rachel goes on to say that the moment that Izanami activated the embryo, Izanami's victory had been set, and that was it. The embryo's main purpose was to act as a cage to keep the master unit in, and as long as the master unit is here, the embryo world can be observed and preserved. Rachel brings up the point that only those deemed qualified have a chance to beat Izanami, obtain the Azure, and create a whole new world, and when it happens, the embryo will be released and a new world will be born based on the victor's desires. But if someone not qualified beats her, then all possibilities will vanish and the world will end. When that happens, the master unit will stay stuck within the embryo for all eternity, and the world will completely die. Exactly what Izanami had wanted all along. Ragnar is confused on why Nine and Relius want him specifically to beat Izanami, considering that he isn't qualified, but before he can get any answers, Azrael shows up and reveals that because of Ragnar, he was able to easily break out the doghouse. Ragnar is able to match Azrael now after use of his BlazBlue, and Azrael informs Ragnar on the pact that he had signed with Izanami to obtain his true goal, to fight the gods. Ragnar is then teleported away once again. Ragnar arrives in front of the master unit, though Izanami isn't pleased to see him, wondering why he's even there if he isn't even qualified at all. Izanami claims that nothing can be changed no matter what happens, and Ragnar isn't having any of it, the two throwing themselves into a fight. Ragnar hesitates to fight her back, something that Izanami notes. Ragnar wants to save her, though Izanami laughs at the idea. He isn't qualified, so doing so will be utterly impossible, with Ragnar saying that he isn't all that smart. Izanami purposely left herself open to a stab attack by Ragnar, which caused a phenomenon intervention, with Izanami noting quote-unquote that girl doesn't care for this conclusion. Ragnar listens to Izanami's eyes and sees a lone girl hooked up to a machine, crucified with stitches all over her body. Izanami reveals that that girl is Amaterasu, and that Izanami herself is the drive of Amaterasu. As long as Amaterasu exists, Izanami will revive endlessly for all eternity. She is Izanami. The opposite existence to Amaterasu's power of creation, the Izanagi system. This world, God rejects your dream. This world is a mirror that reflects this girl's dream. As long as the original does not vanish, the world will continue to reflect her dream. God's dream, the central fiction that can never be awoken from. Ragnar the Bloodedge, if you wish to save me, if you wish to save Hades Izanami, you must first end this girl's dream. The dream of this girl, the original Noelle Vermilion. Ragnar had awoken the night of him and Bang in the forest, wondering why he's this far back in the past. He noticed that his hand was bleeding and concludes that all the events that took place were real. Ragnar then fell into a strange space where he's seeing everyone's dreams failing to come true. He then sees the past of the Susanoo unit being pulled from the boundary, and that the Amaterasu unit had become the chosen being, and that they could obtain the perfect world. Ragnar is enraged, angered at the fact that this isn't the world. They're just forcing their desires on a poor girl. He didn't realize the real dream of the girl, a beast that devours all hope, a world with no hate, no conflict, a world of complete death. Ragnar then learned that this was his very end. Ragnar finds himself at the monolith where Hazama greets him. Hazama reveals that they're now in a world that has exhausted all possibilities. Ragnar is curious on how Hazama is even there, and Hazama informs him that he should have been dead from Trinity's attack back in Chronophantasma, but she had to hesitate at the last moment and saved him. Hazama talks about pain and Terumi, and on how Terumi needs pain and suffering of others to live, and how he can also suffer pain and feel pain himself. But Hazama himself cannot feel that, no matter what he does. He cannot feel pain against himself, and feels no pain when inflicting it on others, but smirks when he shows a hole scar to Ragnar. He then tells Ragnar that he actually feels pain, and that hole throbs over and over, making him feel aware of himself. Pain makes Hazama feel like an individual, and it makes him feel alive. Hazama goes on to say that his dream is to know pain and suffering of others, and shows that he had Mood 12 in his hands, commanding her to fight Ragnar. Just like how your heart is new, my heart seems to be Mood, Hazama says as he exclaims that he intends to become the Black Beast at first, but yet he wants to become the true BlazBlue, and with that end, he escapes and leaves Ragnar to handle Mood. Ragnar managed to snap Mood out of her trance, though Ragnar knows that this was way too easy. Mood explains that she was detached from Noelle, but only her power as the God Slayer, and doesn't know much more beyond that. Ragnar meets up with Celica once again, and the two head off to find Kagura. Ragnar asks Celica about her dream, but she simply says that she wants everyone to live a happy life. Kokonoe reveals that when Izanami activated the embryo, the structure of the world was reconfigured and it was changed in some places. The memories of everyone else were also modified to fit the modified world. Teleportation is now also a problem to use due to not being able to pinpoint exactly where to go due to the mismatched nature of the world. Celica is one of the few unaffected by the embryo and is due to the power of order she possesses, and Kagura concludes that Jin is in the same boat as well. Kagura deduces that in order to take out Izanami, they would need to eliminate Noelle Vermilion, and Hibiki further claims that people would target Noelle for the sake of their wishes as she holds the Azure. Ragnar encounters Makoto as Makoto's mission was to find him. Makoto doesn't hold anything against Ragnar, has fought alongside him before, but doesn't like the idea of going head to head with him. During the fight, Ragnar had used Soul Eater to steal Makoto's dream, and with that, he left. He makes his way over to Wadatsumi and remembers that Kushina's linchpin was once down there. Ragnar decides to go check if it's still down there, but is stopped by Tsubaki, who is trying to kill him. All she asks of Ragnar if he's Jin's brother, and he does confirm to Tsubaki that they are indeed brothers. While Ragnar is somewhat happy that people are looking out for Jin, he rejects Tsubaki's dream and steals it from her. Kagura also shows up to the battle and fights Ragnar. Unfortunately, Ragnar was teleported away. Kokonoe asked Kagura what his dream was, but Kagura couldn't remember it, confirming Kokonoe's suspicions that Ragnar had stolen it. Ragnar is then teleported to Kushina's linchpin where he meets Amane, and Amane guessed that Ragnar was going to use the Soul Eater to steal the dream of Tenjo from the Tenjo. Amane and Ragnar begin their battle, and during it, Amane proposes that Ragnar should be under his observation as his body is progressing closer and closer to the Black Beast territory. Ragnar shouldn't exist, and is the same as Amane, someone existing outside of reason. Ragnar refuses this offer from Amane, saying, "The so-called qualified people in this world right now are trying to fulfill their dreams. They're trying to force their dreams in the world again. For whose sake? They want to deny everything that happened up till now, but who exactly dream will be fulfilled? Who will be saved? Isn't that just escapism? Their dreams are only temporary. What would happen if they forced it on a never-ending world? It's useless. Nothing will move forward. Nothing will change. Nothing will be saved. I realized back then, all possibilities of this world are completely closed. That's why I need to become a new possibility. I won't let any single person fulfill their dream. I'll devour the dreams of all those qualified. Remember this, observer. I am the enemy of all. The entire world. The Grim Reaper. Ragna the Bloodedge.